like I was out of breath, like with him running through the city. And
I love that. This part of my life is called running.
Yeah, that's when he's in the toilet and people are banging on the door and it's just hitting him. I'm like,
I mean, it still gives me chills now.
Yeah.
It's just, we're getting some heavy territory.
Let's go, bro. Let's go.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pdox Talks. Today we have a new location, as we love to change our locations on a regular basis. We also have a special guest with us. Today we have Coco the Conscious.
Yeah, what up? What up? How we doing?
Coco is a Gadigal-based poet, rapper, radio presenter, actor, model, entrepreneur, podcast host, and community arts practitioner who lives at the intersection of music, consciousness, social change. Born in Australia with Ghanaian and Lebanese roots, his artistry is grounded in cultural identity, lived experience, and truth-telling. Emerging in 2018, Coco has built a distinct voice within Australia's conscious hip-hop scene, blending poetry, lyricism, spirituality, and social-driven narratives. His debut album, Age of Aquarius, 2021, marks a defining moment in his artistic journey. Beyond music, Coco works as a youth coordinator, community project arts officer at Addi Sounds Music Studio, creating a space for young people through creativity, cultural connection, and empowerment. As an anti-racism workshop facilitator, he uses art, a tool for education, healing, and transformation. Through music and poetry, Coco explores self-discovery, spirituality, social justice, and expansion of consciousness, cultivating spaces for awakening and collective empowerment. Gee whiz.
Wow.
That is a big intro.
Damn, bro. Well done. Well done. Clap it up for Kieran. That was good, bro.
So,
sorry for the long bio.
If everybody got that, I'm glad. If you didn't get all of that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, I think that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's hard to put everything that I do into like one thing. But yeah, at the end of the day, like I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I tap into different modalities, whether it be poetry, music. Yeah, working here at Addi Road. Shout out to Addi Sounds Studio. Yeah. Doing anti-racism workshops. Yeah, there's a lot. But for me, what I do is just do my best to be myself and just express, what I'm feeling. And yeah, it's a journey, bro. It's hard to box it in. Like, that's why I guess the bio is so like everywhere. Do you know what I mean? Because there's so much. It's like, but I strive to be as dynamic as I can.
Yeah.
And I don't want to box myself in. Do you know what I mean? I want to be able to tap into different things all the time.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, bro.
So what have you brought to us today? What movie?
The movie that I brought to you today was The Pursuit of Happyness. Yeah. So when you asked me, I was like, instantly I thought like Avatar or Michael Jackson movie because they were the most recent movies I've watched. Yeah. But then I was like, you know what? I'm stepping into fatherhood. It's probably good to, I guess, do a movie that covers some fatherhood themes. And I was like, Pursuit of Happyness. I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah.
Will Smith's a great actor. And I thought, let's do it. So I watched it last night. Yeah. So it's fresh in my mind. Was it your first time watching it?
It was probably my second or third time watching it.
Nice. And the last time you watched it, how long ago was it?
I must have been maybe 16.
True. Yes. So similar. Yeah.
When I'm 24 now. It hit massively different.
When you're an adult, it's different, eh? It's so true.
Yeah.
It's
How'd
so
it hit
true.
for you?
Yeah, definitely hit different. Definitely more emotional than how like the first time I watched it as like a youth. And yeah, stepping into fatherhood too is like, whoa, okay, this is even more. It hits home. Yeah, it's more real, right? Yeah. It's more embodied. Yeah. And just the whole, even like when, are we going to get into it? You want to get straight into it or you have a... Yeah, even like just when like his missus like leaves him, do you know what I mean? It's just him and his son. It's just like, whoa. Like even that's a whole thing. Because it's like, how do you even do that on your own? The movie is incredibly done. The themes are powerful.
Incredibly what, sorry?
Incredibly done. Incredibly created. Like, when he's running through, like, all the running scenes. Yeah. Like, I felt like I was out of breath, like, with him running through the city. And so they really, there's so much. There's so many layers to it, bro.
I love that this part of my life is called running.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
narration, each chapter. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true. And then the whole thing of Pursuit of Happyness, like it makes you think like I was thinking even after it, I'm like, is it true? Like, do we pursue happiness?
Yeah.
Or is like happiness already here and we just don't like uncover it?
But it's
Do you know
one
what
of
I mean?
those things where it's like, are you ever going to get to an endpoint of the ideal of happiness? Like like we all say, fall in love with the process or the journey, because that's all you're really going to get. Like that's one of the things I think, especially in filmmaking, because there's long days and sometimes you don't know what you're getting. It's so abstract, right? You're putting lights up and cameras up and you don't know what story you're telling. And then you see at the end, you're like, that's why the journey was there.
It clicks.
Yeah.
It clicks. It's so true. I can resonate and connect with that through music. It's like the same thing as well. It's like in the process of creating, like sometimes I may not even know where the song's going to go. Do you know what I mean? I may even just write down the lyrics before I even hear a beat or anything. And then it kind of evolves into its own thing. But then you put it out into the world and then it's kind of just jump back into the process again, instead of also like waiting on, how it's received too. So yeah, and that's from The Alchemist, right? The book, the whole falling in love with the process, with the journey. Because as an artist, that's really what it's about. Do you know what I mean? Because if you do kind of put so much, just value and merit on the final result, I think it can be, it's like a double-edged sword, bro.
Yeah.
You know?
We were talking with a couple of our lecturers and they both said something really interesting, where it was, I love my film too much and I hate my film too much. Where it's like, if you fall too far one way, you're like, you miss a lot of the picture. And if you fall too far the other way, now you can't see the picture. You know what I mean? Like there's this weird, you've got to try and sit in the middle where you're objective, but you still can appreciate the good in what you're doing. It's a weird line.
It's a hard place to be in. Yeah. Especially when it's part of you. Because creating, it's a part of you, right? It's like an extension of yourself. You pour so much into any creation, like movies, music, poetry, visual arts. Yeah, man. Yeah. Back to Pursuit of Happyness though. Yeah, I want to talk about that scene. The basketball scene.
Yeah.
He's
the big one.
The big one. Yeah, that's the big scene, right? And it's just that whole thing. And I think for me in fatherhood, like I want to instill that in my child, in my son. It's like, you can do anything, And I think that whole, like hearing it from your parents saying you can't do something, and just like that scene itself, like his son's demeanor, like how everything just shifted, you know, his body language was so down, and then like dad clocked onto
like,
it and he's
what
like,
am I doing?
whoa, I'm like projecting my own stuff, because he experiences that. Even like a few scenes before with the Rubik's Cube, he experienced that. The guy's like, no, you can't do it. He's like, no, I can do it. I can, I'll show you. He's like, no, you can't. He's like, no, I can. So I think that was a cool moment where I could see that, like that awareness, within the father, like Will Smith's character, to see, hang on a minute, like this is a pivotal moment for me and my son. And then just how he like moved from that moment to address it and kind of recorrect what he said. I think that was powerful, bro. And even how he said, like, even if I say you can't do something.
I think that's one of the key points of it, is like, even when your loved one tells you you may not be able to do something, do it first and then see if they're right.
Facts.
You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
Especially like with my family, a lot of them have pushed me to do things I'm not sure I can do. And then sometimes they don't know if I can do it, and I've done it and they're like, oh, interesting. And it's, probably very similar experience to you as well.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of the time it's just like we all have our own lived experience, do you know what I mean? And I think you could be like traumatized from your own experience, and just without even like knowing it, you could be just like, the word I would use is projecting again, or like just, onto someone or your child.
Have you ever felt that when you're teaching someone, where you've projected maybe an insecurity of yourself on there?
I think what I have probably projected, not an insecurity, but more of a, because everyone's journey is different. But like even with the youth in the studio, I tell them like it's not overnight. Do you know what I mean? But I also will be like, but you never know, because that's just my journey as an artist. It hasn't been an overnight thing. So I'll catch myself in those moments. That's the moment when I've noticed myself do it.
Sometimes people get it.
Because sometimes it could be that. So it's. I think doing the work in every moment, because we'll come through, is part of that process. But when you're mentoring or kind of that person for someone. You got to be, or a parent, everything, every word, every action, do you know what I mean, is super like pivotal to their growth and their journey. And I think in fatherhood, like from watching that movie, I learned that too. Like even the scene when they're in the subway, and he's got nowhere to stay, you know, and then his son's like, this is a time machine. This isn't a time machine. He's like, nah, it is a time machine, you know. Even though the whole movie up until that point, he kept telling the crazy guy, like, that's not a time machine, it's a medical device. For him to like play on that and feed into his son's imagination, for his son to not really like to not experience the reality of what they were going through. They're homeless. Do you know what I mean? There's nowhere to stay. And I think that was one of those moments again where like Will Smith's character is like, I think his name is Chris, his character. He's like, I need to flip this, you know? And I love that about the whole movie is that he was able to do that a lot of those times.
It felt self-aware because he was like, I'm fucking up here. I can change this right now, and I can be better for this moment. That's what I loved about it. There was so many moments like that. Just before we go on, I'm going to give a quick description of the film because I realized we didn't do a description of the film.
My bad.
So today we're watching Pursuit of Happyness. It's about a father and a son going on a journey, going through lots of different struggles and trying to find a way to live in the world. Is that a fair description?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Those struggles are economic and homelessness and lots of themes of those sort of things. Single parent. Yeah. Heavy movie. Different from what we've spoken about so far. But
it's different. Yeah. Good.
It's definitely worth a watch. 100%. Cool. We'll keep going. Yeah.
We'll go back to, you want to go back to that scene or?
You want to go back to the, I love the imaginary scene.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah.
Cool.
So what I loved about that, obviously, he's transporting his like son into that world. And kids, that's the thing, right? It's imagination, it's play, and even from an artist lens, I feel like that makes the great art is having that imagination, still having that play, kind of feeding it in a child. And that moment where he started really getting into it, you know, there's dinosaurs here and there. And I don't even know if that was his plan, the character, to go into the bathroom stall, but it even led them there to a place where it's like, okay, we can have our own space now, which is the toilet, right? And then after that was intense when he's in the toilet and people are banging on the door and it's just hitting him. I'm like,
I mean, it still gives me chills now.
Yeah.
It's just like, he made this little world for his son that is like positive and uplifting, and he was playing in this time of like just shit. Like it's not I mean, you can all see he's not happy, but he found a way to make his son inspired.
Pursuit of Happyness, like in that moment. It was tough. And then that banging on the door and stuff, you could see also like, I think as a father, like the pride, you know, it all started hitting him because like his son's asleep. Now he's in the real world again. And that imagination, that imaginary world is gone. And it's like, I'm in a bathroom stall and someone's trying to get in here. Like that was a hard scene, bro. And it's covering his like son's ears and stuff. But beautiful as well of just showing like, like a father's like just unconditional, like in deep love for his like child and like shielding him. Like I think that's always like a thing of like the father and mother, but you know, that protective nature. Man, such an intense scene, bro. Tevier.
You need to sit back on that one.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's so many moments like that. Like even when they're trying to get into the church for
and the guy takes his spot
and he just kind of loses it and he's like, nah, it's my spot, and his son just watching that. And that was a beautiful thing too, is like a lot of the movie, that whole journey, like he was shielding his son from the realities of what they were going through, but there were pockets where his son had to experience the true reality of what was going on.
There's a fine line between hiding someone from their reality and still letting them learn from negative emotions. It's important to go through them because otherwise you just block everything out. That's not feeling,
and you bypass it. You know, so it was like, that was, I think there was a kind of healthy balance there in a way. But there was just a roller coaster with all those moments. I think another one that sticks out is when they got all their stuff thrown out of the motel And then like even the son, he lost it at that point.
Oh.
He's like, I want to go in, and he tries to open the door, and then like his dad's like, no, like we gotta go, you know, and like kind of shakes him, and like that like shook me too. It's like, because I feel like the whole movie you're just waiting for him to lose it too.
Both of them.
Yeah. Like how
he's been so happy the whole movie.
Keeping it together, like getting hit by cars, like, you know, like losing his shoe, getting locked up in prison, and then going to the interview right after with paint all over him, and like still going to the interview, still sitting there and like holding his own and being honest.
You ever been in those kind of moments where you're like, you're embarrassed, but you're not going to show it, and you're like, I know I look like an idiot right now, but fuck it,
gotta fuck it out. Yeah. I'm trying to think of one of those moments. I don't know off the top of my head, but I could feel it in that moment. Like, that's why Will Smith is so good, bro. Because I was like, you're in that with him, you're feeling that. Especially that scene. Yeah, when he's in the interview, there's paint all over him, and I'm like, how's he gonna navigate this one?
He
like,
swung it well, didn't he?
Really good, like incredibly good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that was just classy writing there as well. Like just whether Will Smith's performance, but the writing, the combination of both really just hit home. It really connected in a different way, I think. Yeah.
No, it was like whoever had the handprints on that film really did an incredible job. Like it was, and I think it was important having like Will and his real son in it, because it's like you could feel that synergy the whole movie.
A good performance by him too, because he wouldn't have been that old.
Yeah, I know, and that was what I was thinking.
And losing it too, man, that was a pretty good performance for a young kid.
That was incredible. No, you're right. It was, it definitely made me think of like, just what the hardships you'll experience with a family. It's like, how do you navigate that with such innocence, you know?
It's like one of those things where it's like, I want to keep positive for this person because they're really important, but you know you're gonna have a bad day.
That's it.
And on those bad days, can you still be okay?
That's it. It's so true. And you still got to be rooted in reality to a certain extent, you know?
You can't pretend everything's all good. You still have to acknowledge some of the shit.
That's the word, right? Acknowledge. You got to acknowledge it. I think acknowledging it, that's the biggest part. And it's just not then kind of dwelling, you know? You can acknowledge it, see it for what it is, even interrogate it a bit, but then like just don't. I think the dwelling
is like the challenge. That's where the depression and the stuff comes from.
And I feel like Will Smith's character in that movie, it was never dwelling. It was like on to the next, to the next.
But he knew it was bad. He wasn't hiding it.
Yeah.
Well, I think he did hide some points. Yeah. But
true. Yeah.
It is what it is. You're not perfect. But for you as an artist, in probably the next coming phase of your life, what do you think is going to happen? How are you going to keep playing? And yeah,
it's true. I've been like sitting with that a lot, bro. Because even it's just like, the good thing is, like obviously I'm blessed with a child, but it's like now I got to tap into that inner child again. Do you know what I mean? Which I still tap into, especially to create, but because I've been so busy with everything, music, Addi Sounds, anti-racism workshops, everything under the sun, it's like I haven't given myself in the last 3 years the space that I used to just like have that childlike like essence come out all the time. That's why I do love like Addi Sounds Studio, because the young like rappers and musicians come in and that's in them, you know. But now that a child's coming, it's like, okay, great. Like I can be mad silly. Like I can take days off where it's just like me and him, and we can like go to the park and whatever, you know. And I think that will feed into my creativity and help like cultivate that. But then it's also balancing, all right, how much like going to gigs and like how much do I pour into work, and then how much. So these are things I don't like, because it hasn't happened yet. But these are things I'm definitely thinking and like sitting with, reflecting, meditating on. It's like. And it's also the unknown. So it's me also being all right with, okay, this is the unknown. But then like using my parents as a model. Like, so like my mom's a creative. She does like sculpting and art. And she was able to like do that, like run her business, do the art, and like take care of us and be a mother like full time all the time. So I have that, because my mom's more creative than dad. So I can use my mom as that like example for how to, still pour into your art, but be a really present parent. And it's possible.
Yeah.
But she'd wake up at like 4 a.m. every day, go to the flower markets, and then like pick us up from school, take us to like piano lessons, like footy, like everything under the sun. It's like, I don't know how the hell she did it, but shout out to mom.
Yeah.
It's incredible. I guess the Lebanese, you know, just doing everything. But yeah, man, I think, you just gotta, I think, love what you do. Do you know what I mean? If you love what you do artistically and you love being a parent, I think you can make it work. I think that's what mom had. Dad, on the other hand, he's more like, he wasn't a creative. He works with like, he does support work, disability care and stuff. So his thing, because it's also Ghanaian, like Africa, Ghana, it's like, you know, money, like it's very structured and stuff. So his way of parenting was more of that, you know, it's like, I'm providing, you know, I am paying the bills, you know, and it's just like, that's being that for him, that was parenting. Do you know what I mean? More of mom was like nurturing presence, you know, always there. Dad's like more discipline and like, so I think having that as a model, and then now using that for this next chapter that I'm on, and finding a healthy balance too, and taking, you know, the parts that were really helpful and the parts that were not so helpful, you know, just keep them to the side. But I think, it's also fun. I'm looking forward to that. You know, I live with my parents. I moved out when I was like 25. So I had a long time living at home. So when the last, I think it was from like 19 to 25, 24 is when I was like, I started becoming very like self-aware and doing the work on myself. And I used living at home as a chance to see aspects in my family, my mom and my dad, that I really liked and that I really disliked. Because I knew it was like a training ground. And I tell my sister this all the time, because she's still living at home. She'll be like, oh, I just want to get out of the house, have my own space. I'm like, it's actually good. Like, use it as a chance to like learn. Do you know what I mean? Because you are 23 chromosomes of your mother and father. Do you know what I mean? So you are them. Do you know what I mean? You are yourself too, but a lot of it is them. So it's a good chance to, it's a mirror, you know? And use that as like as a learning lesson. I don't know how I got on that topic, but
I don't know either.
We got there. It's connected to Pursuit of Happyness. Somehow, some way. For
you as an artist generally, where does your creative inspiration come from?
Great question. Where does my creative expression, inspiration come from? Many things, bro. So it could be like we'll start with external, because, you know, obviously the world, you know, what I go through, what I see, just being in community, do you know what I mean? Seeing hardships and what people are going through. On like a global scale, like what's happening in the world, like as a like conscious rapper, and like a lot of the like rappers that, you know, inspired me, that was where they would get a lot of their inspiration from too, was about like, you know, speaking for the people that didn't have a voice, you know, addressing issues about like oppression, you know, and the mistreatment of people, and like the dehumanization of like humanity, you know, as a whole through systems, you know. So that's a big lens for me. That's like always there. Like sadly, let's hope that's not always there, but it's like always
might not be going away soon.
Hopefully it goes away soon. But it's something I can always look to, or I'm always experiencing for inspiration for like music or poetry. So like internally, it's like what I go through, whether it be like in my relationship, just in my journey, just growing, like, and just on a spiritual level, you know, noticing patterns, you know, from the people that are coming into my life, I mean, or how I'm responding to certain things, noticing those like months where it's just like this, everything's clicking, everything's like, it's like, well, I'm in this flow state, opportunities falling in my lap and stuff. And then there's the seasons as well where it's not the rain. There you go, seasons and reasons. Man. So I think that journey internally as well, of like also realizing, I'm hearing it too. That's all right.
Hold for a second.
It's nice. It's nice. But just knowing also that there's this physical experience that I'm going through, but there's also like a spiritual undertone that's, you know, manifesting all this. So that's a big thing for me, is always remembering that I'm a spiritual being having a human experience, and definitely don't bypass the human experience. This is all part of it. but also not getting so attached to it where it's like crippling, you know, because it can be like that.
It's a little fine line to walk where you're like, I want to detach a little bit so I can think, but then I don't want to get stuck on thinking. I want to be human and live too.
Yes.
There's that. Sometimes we fall on either side of that line, but
it's so true, bro. It's so true. And it's that, like, I like how you said that, like the thinking, and because there's also like another dimension to it of like the awareness, and that's where the consciousness comes in, where it's like, it's not even you're detached. You become like an observer, you know, of the thinking, of the physical, do you know what I mean? And then you're in this space where like, we don't...
You can sit between the two.
Yeah, we kind of sit between the two.
And you go, did my actions meet my physical wantings or whatever it is that you wanted to do? Did they connect or are they misaligned at the moment? Yeah.
That's the work, right?
Yeah.
That's the work. You said it really well, bro. So I guess that's when, to answer the question, that's where all the inspiration comes from. Navigating that, and also just being really authentic and transparent, honest with it through my music, through my poetry. It's like, you know, this is what I'm feeling. Like when I first met all you guys at the Writers Festival, you saw me. That's how I am. When I'm performing, when I'm doing my poetry and music, that's with what I'm experiencing. If tears come, if whatever happens, anger, frustration, that needs to surface. That needs to come out. That's like cathartic for me to like to write it, to perform it. Do you know what I mean? Like that process is, it's like one and the same, you know? So I think that's really important with art, like being as vulnerable as you can, which is scary because it's like how people going to receive it, how like, do you know what I mean? How my family going to receive it, do you know what I mean? But it's also...
What's the backlash? But
you got to be all right. I think as an artist, you got to be like, kind of have this, I don't even want to say thick skin, but like you just have this kind of...
But there's another interesting line that we like to cross is whether is it good to offend people? And do we want to? Do we need to? How do we want to do that? I feel like it is a very grey area for artists. Yeah. Because like sometimes when someone offends someone, everyone's like, yes, thank God for that. But a lot of the time, someone's hitting shit on you.
Yeah. It's like, how dare they? Or how could they say that? And that's a really good observation, bro. I honestly feel like it's all comes back to intention. Intention is everything. So I feel as an artist, if your intention in the moment is to just to be and to embody what's coming to you in that moment or who you are in that moment, then if it triggers people or offends people, then that's just it's
uncontrollable.
It's uncontrollable. It's just like, you know, a cause, an effect of the cause. But if the intention is, I'm going to try and, you know, push like on people's wounds here and there, I think that's a bit different. Do you know what I mean? So I think, and I tell all the young people in the studio too, is just be your authentic self, and whatever happens from there happens from there. At least you can sit with that and be like, I was me in that moment. The worst thing is you're out of who you are, you're playing a character and you're doing all these things, and then after you're like, nah, that's not me, you know?
I mean, like writing is such an interesting thing for me because I get to be different characters and like I write in this perspective. And someone asked me the other day, was like, when you write, who is it based off? And I was like, everyone. I mean, like, I'm not trying to write from this person's perspective. I'm trying to create a character where I use you, me, people around me to form a person. And I mean, that's one of the strongest things about building our own characters is we build it from all our experiences.
It's true. Yeah, exactly.
With poetry and consciousness, can you explain to me a little bit more about what consciousness is and what it means?
I feel like consciousness, like to me, is like the awareness. Do you know what I mean? Like we're saying with the observer, you know, it's the awareness that you have, the self-awareness of yourself and also everything else. Consciousness connects all of us, you know, kind of like the Force, Star Wars, right? It's like, it's this, I think they're still trying to even figure out what exactly consciousness is.
I've got some theories there.
Yeah, I'd love to hear them. I would love to hear them because it's, there's always something new that comes out with consciousness, but I do feel it animates us, it connects us.
Looking into it just alone is interesting. Whether it's right or wrong, whatever science is saying in this century compared to last century, they kind of all lead to something quite interesting. Just looking and reading it.
Yeah. What do you feel like it leads to in your
We're getting some heavy territory.
Let's go, bro. Let's go.
I mean, some of the ideas could represent a god, right? There's an idea that all of these things are leading to the idea of God and stuff like that. But there's other ideas where it's God doesn't need to be there for things to be connected. Like, just because we wrote God back in something BC doesn't mean that's the perfect answer. There is a lot of different ways to approach connection and interaction and awareness. God as a blanket statement, I feel like needs to add more. There's always more to the story than one word.
Yeah, well said. 100%.
Yeah.
I always say that, like, there's so many ways to get to like 10, right? Like 5 plus 5, 6 plus 4, 9 plus 1, whatever. You can go 0.5s and stuff. Yeah. There's so many pathways. Do you know what I mean? But
even to 1.
To 1, yeah, 100%. So I think essentially, like, it's a deep, we're diving into, like I said, deep territory here. But for me, I feel whether it's a God or I like to say a presence. Do you know what I mean?
I like to say a feeling.
A feeling, yeah. I like that. A feeling tone. Yeah. I can resonate with that too. But there is something. Once you start giving it names and labels, it can like deduct.
Takes away.
It can deduce what it is. But I like feeling because in feeling, it's like it transcends like the mind and logic and words, and it's like it's just something that everyone can tap into a feeling. You know, I like that. I do really like that one.
Yeah, one of the recent studies I looked at was at brain stems and how brain stems connect to connected to your central nervous system. And some people are saying that might be where consciousness comes from. Whether that's true or not, it's not really important. But what was important to me to realize is that it is the feeling, like your brainstem is in control of. So say you walk into a room full of smoke, right? That smell you get straight away, that's your brainstem telling you you might be in danger. And that's why I was like, there's something there. Yeah, I mean, like if your most primitive instinct is survival, then that might be where it's coming from. But regardless of that, I just feel like that's where I got the idea of feeling and feeling things. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting. I've seen those little photos of the brainstem, like the nervous system, or just this like wiring thing, you know, like some electricity. That sounds about it. I think this is the question in the rabbit hole that all these philosophers end up going down, you know?
You always end up with a different answer at the end of it too.
That's it. Yeah. And it's like, I think even me on my journey of going down all these rabbit holes and like, what is it? I think also you got to be all right with not knowing too. It's like, all right, maybe we just don't know. We'll never fully exactly know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just back to being aware, you know, that there is that. And that connects all of us through feeling, you know what I mean? And when I say all of us, I mean like, yes, human beings, but I mean like this earth, you know, animals, like the elements, like this is all things that indigenous cultures all across the world, not just here in Australia, knew and we're tapping into all the time. And it was part of their way of life, you know? And I feel like where we are now as a society, we've like, especially the Western world, we've cut that off significantly, you know? I think that's where a lot of the problems stem from, you know? People aren't feeling anymore. They're not feeling their emotions. They're not feeling for their brother, their sister across the world, or even in their vicinity, you know? They're not feeling for this earth, you know? So we're kind of, something's happened. There's a disconnect, you know? So yeah, bro, we can keep going, but I got a lot we can say about all that too. Do you know what I mean?
It is a deep hole to dive down.
It is. But I think sometimes it does need to be like addressed and you know, just like acknowledge that word.
At least thought about.
100%. Because I think just that's where Coco the Conscious comes from, bro. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just being conscious, being aware.
Is that what made you choose your name?
Basically, kind of. So I was watching KRS-One. He's like one of the OG rappers, like one of the greatest of all time, I would say. Knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everything. That's what KRS-One stands for, right. You know? You should listen to his music. He's really, like, he's one of the OGs. Incredible lyricist. Incredible presence, really tuned in. And he was doing a lecture. This is when YouTube was real big. Like, we're still big, but this is when I was first, like, in high school on YouTube and stuff. And I used to watch this lecture on him talking about consciousness. And he'd do this thing where he'd pull up like the rock star, like a stick of rock star, and he'd say, all right, everyone, like in the room, say rock star, you know, but say it without using your voice. 1, 2, 3, everyone say rock star, you know, like we can all do this now. That's for fun. So on the count of 3, we're all going to say rock star, not without our voice, just in your head. So like when you said it, did you hear it? Did you hear a voice saying rock star?
I felt my tongue moving.
You felt your tongue moving? True. Yeah. Did you hear anything?
Yeah.
You heard something say rock star. So what is that voice that said rock star?
I mean, it's your you want the scientific one that I've been looking into?
You could do the scientific one, yeah.
Well, actually, I want to hear yours first.
Well, I'm just going off his.
Yeah, tell me
this
what
is
his
what got me, right?
Yeah,
so then he's
me.
like, all right. So everyone heard something.
Yeah.
So you heard it, but no sound was coming out of your mouth for your ears to pick up the vibrations, which is how sound works and stuff. But you heard something without your ears hearing it, and you said something without your mouth saying anything. So then everyone in the room's like, oh yeah, true. Like everyone's kind of like, and even the viewer, me, I'm like, it's a grand point, you know? So then that's how it kind of leads into consciousness. Do you know what I mean? And like, what is that voice? Do you know what I mean? What is this that can hear, like, you know, without ears and can speak without, you know, tongue? So yeah, that got me in. And then from there, the whole lecture, it's like a 2-hour lecture, which is really good. It's just everyone watches it.
Where does he go into?
He goes from there into like, it's a long one, but he goes into also how like you'd enter a room, right? And you as a filmmaker will look at this room and you'll see this room totally different from me. I'll walk into this room and I'll be like, we've got sound panels here, like, you know, like the reverb, all that. You go into like sound, you know, so everyone comes in with their own perspective when they walk into a room. So every room is actually different to each individual from their own like perspective, their own world, their own lens. So like, basically we could be in the same room or in the same world, same country, do you know what I mean? But everyone's experiencing something else based on who they are, do you know what I mean? So we're all our own like universes. So that it was a great lecture to just make you question a lot of things, you know? Because these are things you might not think about, right? I think he used the plumber as an example. Plumber will walk in, he'll look at plumbing, you know, painter will walk. It's a whole different thing.
It was funny because I was writing this thing recently and I was about what art is. And I was always looking at, I felt when I was younger, I was like, oh, well, art, you've got to do this and you've got to do that and you've got to be really this and that. And I was like, oh, hang on a second. There's a lot of people in this world, whether you're a plumber, whether you're an electrician, whether you're a singer, a dancer, a filmmaker, we're all kind of in the same area where you've got to see the details of something. And then it makes you look at everything just that little bit different.
True.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah. You got everyone has their own lens, you know? And it's also a great way to be able to, just engage with the world, the KRS lecture. So that's how my name, so he was talking about KRS-One. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
That's all good.
KRS-One, knowledge reigns supreme over nearly everything. And he talks about when he changed his name, the whole universe conspired to that name. Do you know what I mean? And that was powerful and profound for me because it's like, it's true. I'm a big believer in like, you know, everything is a reflection of like your internal world, and what you put out into the universe you'll receive back. So him just saying that and the way he put it and just what I felt back to the feeling from watching that, I'm like, that's so true. So I'm like, if I want to be real about being an artist, and in particular at that point it was like a rapper, like musician, it's like, okay, so what would my name be? Would I just be Coco? My Coco's cool. Yeah, that's what my mother called me. Like, I love Coco, but also like, I don't know, I felt like there was more to it. So then I started going through Coco Coco the Catalyst came up a lot, which sat and felt good. And I use that in a few bars. Yeah, like in the new song, I use that.
What's the new song called?
Layers. Yeah, director over there.
We're working on a music video for you.
It's coming soon.
You know,
get ready,
probably
people.
put out the camera soon.
Yeah, I know. Buckle up. That's going to be a great one. Just waiting on director over here. So yeah, Layers, that's the song. But it came to me, the name, when I was, you know, when you're like half asleep, half awake, when you're like in that kind of lucid, weird realm. So that's where it hit me. So I was just like in that realm, like falling asleep, but still kind of awake, not really knowing what that space is. And then that voice, the same voice that says Rockstar, was like Coco the Conscious. And I was like, done. message received. Coco the Conscious, it is. And
That'll do.
yeah, from there it felt right. And it was so like affirming and felt right. Do you know what I mean? And it resonated. So I'm like, this is it. So then I just went from there. It's like Coco the Conscious. And it was fitting for like where I was at the time and what I was tapping into. And then, yeah, who knows? Maybe later down the track, fast forward 10 years, you know, it just becomes Coco. Like the conscious is like out, or who knows? Do you know what I mean? But yeah, that's what felt right. And that's what kind of, and ever since then, like Harris once said, it's like the universe did conspire to that name. You know, I started attracting opportunities, experiences, people, do you know what I mean, in those realms talking about this type of stuff, you know? So yeah, that's a long answer to a very little question, bro. But yeah, it was, how I got it was in the dream, in that little dream state, you know, which is another song from the Age of Aquarius album, Dream State. Because I was into all that, like dreaming, lucid dreaming. Is life a dream? Are we in a dream right now?
Do you have a lucid dream now?
Here and there.
Yeah.
Not as often as I used to, because I don't do the
practice for
the practices as much as I used to, or even have as much like grounding and like, you know, sun downloading time as I used to. But yeah, I used to do it quite a bit, but it's a beautiful thing. And yeah, it led me down thought, you know, pathways of like, oh, what if I'm lucid dreaming in reality? Do you know what I mean? Like Inception. That was another movie that I was going to say when you asked what movie, but I knew Inception, if we went down Inception, it'd just be like, we'd need like 3 hours for it, because I could go into Inception all day. But it's that whole thing of like the layers of dreams. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, what if this is a dream, bro? Do you know what I mean? I actually asked you that question. What differs like this realm that we're in to a dream? What if this is a dream that we just keep coming back to?
There was an interesting thing I read recently where they were trying to see what the waking state was. And it was really interesting because both the like your REM sleep and your waking sleep had a similar wavelengths. Like you were quite awake when you were dreaming. And then there was something else I looked into where the brain is sort of telling yourself, don't lose your visual cortex. Right? So, I thought was an interesting idea, because when you're sleeping, you turn off your eyes, right? But what happens when you turn off your eyes, your other parts of your brain start to take over. And your other parts of the brain are going, oh, you don't need that anymore. Okay, fine. We'll get my hearing censored up, and your this censored up, and your whatever it is, right? But your dreaming is so you keep awake your visual cortex. You start seeing images on the inside.
Oh, is that what it is?
It's so interesting. The other thing it doesn't answer, though, is what do the dreams mean? Yes, it could mean that it is to keep you visual or keep your eyes on. But even so, what makes the pictures choose the image is still a question I don't know if is answered. It's still when I think about it at night, I'm like, when I sleep, when I wake up, why was that the image I saw?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm like, what it's like, and like, I mean, there's very simple experiences. Like recently, my last dream was I was in the studio, and to me, the answer was I was in the studio every single day this week. So it's probably a good chance that's probably why. Yeah, you know what I mean? But in the same sense, I dreamt about Elvis being in the studio. So why was Elvis in the studio? I haven't watched Elvis since fucking 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Listened to any Elvis recently?
So I actually. That's a good point.
Yeah, you listen to some Elvis?
Yeah, Elvis is in the car. That's a good point. Yep. Yeah. So there's answers to there. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very limited perspective we could go on dreams. Yeah. But there's some interesting concepts there that I've been looking into.
Yeah, that's really deep, bro. Yeah. I didn't know that. That's like
I only recently found out
to keep you awake. Yeah. Like not awake, but to keep the visuals.
Yeah. What they said was when you close someone's eyes, the brain in like 60 minutes, the brain's already looking at other pathways to use different things to keep going. So your audio cortex and audio, your hearing, that part of your brain, which is like located here, is starting to take over and starting to really make sense and trying to find a way in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
It's deep, bro. We'll do that for the next podcast. Yeah. We're on 45.
We're on 45. We're gonna be wrapping up here. it's been lovely chatting.
Bro, thank you for having me.
I think we might do this again.
Yeah, we have to. Come on, bro. We have to. There's a few more movies. Maybe Inception will be the one.
Maybe Inception.
Since we're talking about dreams.
Yeah, we can talk about dreams.
I think that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I'll do a lot more research for that one too.
Yeah, same. We'll be more prepared.
Yeah.
But thank you for having me, my brother. Thank you to the
worries.
team.
Thanks, everybody.
For having me. It's been a pleasure. You know.
Is there anything else you'd like to say about anything in particular?
So a lot coming up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got the Addi Sounds Youth Festival, November 7th and 8th coming up. Platform on young artists, bands. Joe's band may play if we're lucky. You know what I mean? If we're blessed.
Joe's our sound guy. He's always mentioned in our podcast.
That's it.
You haven't seen him yet, you will.
There you go. Context. We got to give him context. Also, the Iron Griffin. We'll talk about that later. Coming out soon.
Part 2.
You know
Stay tuned.
Layers. My new single is dropping very soon too. We're just getting the music video sorted. Once that's ready, it'll be out. The song's ready. The song's there. Some people may have seen it when I performed it at the Calyx Club like a month ago, which was fun. And then deep sea moss. Get your sea moss. You know what I mean? Sip it on your deep sea moss. 92 of the 102 vitamins and minerals your body needs to function at a high level. Speaking of brains, it's great for your brain. And what else? That's kind of it, man.
Yeah.
From the top of my head, I don't know what else I could really. Yeah, it's too much. Midnight Moods. Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Eastside Radio 89.7. Make sure you tune in for some Afro beats, hip hop. I do a bit of poetry now and there too. Little poetry moments. Yeah. Cool. The quote of the day is on its way, and will land very soon.
Yeah.
But
Did you put any of your poetry on there?
Yeah, a lot of it is mine, bro.
Oh, cool.
Sometimes you gotta be. You gotta. It's a good time to like workshop stuff as well. So yeah, and then we got Poetry Club.
Yep.
Every fortnight on a Wednesday here in the Addi Sounds Studio.
Yep.
That's open for anyone, any young people that want to get into poetry. That's led by me and Rataj, who's like the number one young poet in like Australia. She's awesome. Shout out to Taj. So yeah, that happens here at Addi.
Addi.
Shout out to Addi Road. You know what I mean? Shout out to Addi Sounds for having us for the space. Yeah, man, that's kind of everything, bro. Otherwise, I'll keep going. So just cut me off, man.
There.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Pdox Talks on all platforms. Tune in, tap in. Okay, greatest podcast on the planet. Do you know what I mean? And then Coco the Conscious everywhere. Easy. Done.
Cool.